in our creative community. So today's topic is dealing with how you handle mental health as a creative. May is Mental Health Month, and I've done several episodes about mental health. And I've been very transparent about my journey, but I wanted to approach it from this aspect that will hopefully help you today as you're watching this. I want to ask you the honest question, and I use this word carefully. I'm not trying to use this word to be inflammatory, but I want to ask you, do you consider yourself, when you think of yourself being a creative, do you consider yourself to be eccentric? And the word I'm trying not to use is crazy. I used it in the title kind of like just to grab your attention a little, but I don't want to use the term crazy as an actual definition for someone. I only want to use it as kind of like a euphemism for the way that we sometimes play off our issues when it comes to mental health. And we try to cover it up by simply saying, oh, that's just me. I'm a creative. That's the way I act. That's what happens when you're a creative. You have all these little idiosyncrasies and issues that come along with being a creative. The problem that I would say with that is that it does sometimes mask the actual issues we have, and we play it off as if it's something that just comes with being a creative. I'm talking about things like moodiness, things like being unable to like stay focused, whether it be something with attention or being able to follow through with things. Or it could be relationships, being unable to really express your emotions with people, or maybe it's a temper. Whatever these situations are that are affecting our mental health, it sometimes seems that our creative lives gives us a perfect excuse to simply pass it off and just say, oh, that's just me. I'm creative. That's the way I'm supposed to be. And I want to challenge you guys today, if you're watching this on a replay or watching this live, I want you to go ahead and comment in the comment section below. Is it true that we honestly are simply creative when it comes to issues of mental health? Is there a link between our creativity and some of these issues when it comes to our emotional problems or our mental health problems, whether it be depression or something that's a little bit different? Maybe it's more on the, I don't want to be a anything where I act like I'm a mental health professional. By the way, this is not therapy. This is simply me giving my opinion on things. But other things that go to the more expressive or maybe even manic side, where we feel like we can't stop and we keep running and running and running, moving on with things, not being able to focus on one thing at a time, and just filling our lives with so much stuff until the point that we hit a point of exhaustion because we can't let go of things. All of these are issues that could be related to our mental health, and they may not be healthy for us in the long run. And the reason why I want to make sure that I make that distinction is that I do not want to equate creativity with poor mental health. And I want to make sure that stigma of I'm a creative, I'm a musician, therefore I'm supposed to have these issues, I want that to go away. I never want that to be the assumption. And that means we have to divorce creativity from these other issues, these other things, and realize that we are human beings. And because we are human beings, we're going to have some of these issues, and we need to be able to go to professionals, have therapists, have counselors, have psychologists. And I'm not even going to get into necessarily right now the whole faith aspect. I have a great podcast coming up very soon with Dr. April Endell. She's going to be talking about the connection from a mental health professional standpoint between the entertainment world, the world of creativity, and mental health. I'm just addressing it directly to you guys. You guys need to go ahead and follow the God and Gig show, by the way, so that you can see that episode when it comes out. And I'll also be appearing on her show, Do You Need Therapy, which is a great, great, great podcast. You got to go look for Do You Need Therapy. But my question to you is, have you used creativity to cover up some of your inadequacies, your fears, your depression, or anything else that you feel on the inside, your anxiety, your fears, and have you passed it off as, oh, I'm not crazy, I'm just creative? Because again, if you have done that, I see right there, I'm a little bit of both, and I can't see your name because unfortunately you're probably in the Facebook community. That's why I can't see names, but that's okay. It's probably better in this case to be anonymous sometimes. But what I feel, and I'll just tell you my personal journey with this as we go on with this. The first thing I've noticed in my own life is that I've oftentimes tried to use my creative life to cover and medicate things that happen. Hey, Crystal. I didn't even mention my shirt. I hope this is the right Crystal because if it is, Crystal's handiwork is right in front of me. I just went totally off topic, but I saw her name. You guys see my shirt here? This is from Miss Chris Creations. I should have mentioned this right off the top. That she made for me from our podcast. She's a fan of the podcast, The God and Gig Show. And this is the byline here. I hope you can read it. It's the right way on Facebook. It's backwards on Instagram. But yes, Miss Chris, thank you so much for my shirt. And I wanted to make sure I rocked it. Let me just bring this mic down. You may not be able to hear me for a second. But you can see this incredible shirt. I am so proud of this shirt, and I want you to go support her. Crystal, feel free to put your website on the chat so it can pop up. Okay, I want everybody to see your handiwork here. This was so cool. It made me like tear up when I saw this. Somebody that supports the show. Crystal's a longtime friend, a fellow creative, an amazing individual entrepreneur. And so I want you guys to go support her and people like her who make cool stuff like this. And yes, we accept gifts. I'm not campaigning for gifts, but for her to make this just shows how much she loves the show and how much she loves the God and Gigs community. Okay, where was I? Crystal, okay. I remember I was talking about whether or not I have been guilty of covering up my own inadequacies in an attempt to, erase my depression. So I'm feeling low, so I just need to go play it out. Or I'm feeling low, so I need to write a song. The song is going to soothe my ills. It's going to make me feel better about myself. I need to work all night long on something because if I work all night long on this passion project, I'll feel better. What I really need is like to just fill this gap. And what I found is that that doesn't really work. I really have to learn and had to learn that if I really wanted to grow as a person, as a human being, and get better, get healthier mentally, I couldn't simply rely on my creative gifts, whether it be in church or not. And this is a tricky one, guys, but even those of us who practice and worship and sing in church and all of that, that's a very, very thin line. We do believe in prayer. I do believe in worship. I do believe that these gifts are spiritual gifts and spiritual tools that can lift us out of poverty or out of a impoverished spirit, out of a sense of depression, that we can put on the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. That's all true. So let me make sure that you understand I am not saying that we should not use faith to attach to these issues of mental health. I am saying, though, that it is not simply our creative or our worship times that can give us that healing we're looking for. If these are mental health issues, if these are things of the mind, if it's simply us trying to diagnose ourselves and fix these problems without looking to the professionals, it's as if you go to a plumber to fix an issue on your roof, okay? The plumber has tools. The plumber is extremely gifted at fixing plumbing issues, but the problem is on the roof. And to fix the problem on the roof, you need a roofer, okay? I can do 1,000 different things. You've got a problem with your knee. You don't go to a ear, nose, and throat doctor. The ear, nose, and throat doctor is extremely qualified, but the problem is with your knee. You need to go to an orthopedic doctor. We need to be willing to go to the people and talk to the people who are the experts in the area that we're struggling in. And as long as we keep going only to our creative life and only to our expression of how I create, how I feel better about myself when I do this, and we don't go to the expert that is dealing with that particular issue of the mind and the body and the spirit and the soul and that connection, then we're missing out and we're not going to cover the real area that we're dealing with. Great to see you on Instagram, Courtney Creates. Great to see you as well. I think Crystal's jumping in back and forth into two platforms, so that's cool. So let me wave to these guys and make sure they know I'm watching. So now that I've told you what I'm dealing with, I would love you in your comments to also explain or share if you've also felt that kind of pull to cover up your feelings of depression or anxiety or fear with a creative moment, with a, oh, well, if I'm feeling this, my out is to go to my creative life. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is you need to do, like Crystal said, a little bit of both. You need to be willing to acknowledge that some of these issues are not just creative issues. Some of these issues, and by the way, as I mentioned at the beginning, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I'm going to be talking a lot during this next couple of weeks, next couple of podcasts and creative checkups about mental health, about my journey through therapy, about how I no longer want people to equate creative life with mental health issues, depression, and obviously it goes to all the way to the deepest part and the darkest part, which is suicide, and making sure that we never allow these problems to cascade on us. Another thing I'll bring up that can sometimes happen, and please give me a yes, that's me, or a I understand, I've dealt with that in the chat if I touch on something that it impacts you. Another thing that affects us as creatives many times is our desire for approval. Our desire for approval and that need to be wanted, liked, and seen, giving of our gifts can become that kind of dangerous line again where we start to see ourselves losing our sense of equilibrium, and it can affect our mental health to where we start to almost become a little bit addictive in that I have to have this applause. I have to have the likes. I have to have people paying attention. If people aren't watching me, if people aren't paying attention, and if I'm not feeling elevated, somehow I am no longer as my self-image suffers. I'm no longer feeling like I'm useful. I no longer feel like I'm wanted, like I'm loved. And all of that can be a huge impact on your mental health. But once again, is creative work, is getting more likes the answer? Is the answer to suddenly, I don't know, blow up? Is that going to make you feel better about yourself? Is it going to solve the fear and the anxiety? Probably not. As a matter of fact, what I would tell you is that most likely, if you become more well known, those issues are going to be amplified. You're going to find yourself even more under pressure. You're going to find yourself more unwilling to take, the necessary steps to deal with your mental health issues because now you feel like there's so much that's dependent on your career that you can't take a break. There's a great podcast out right now by Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams, who used to sing with Destiny's Child, amazing artist. And she had a very public mental health crisis where she had to get help. She actually got help from Brittany Phillips, who's the wife of Trent Phillips. We had Trent on a podcast a year ago. He's one of the best friends of God and Gigs. His wife is a licensed professional counselor and psychologist, and Michelle Williams is her cousin. So there's a podcast where Michelle Williams talks with Brittany about how she needed somebody to come in and rescue her, really. And I'm sure many people would look at someone who worked in Destiny's Child and say, why did you need help? What could have possibly happened where you needed to get out of the world of this professional music career and totally focus on your mental health? But she was at the top of her game, and yet she almost lost everything because her mental health should have been the highest priority. And maybe for whatever reason, she wasn't able to do that because of the high levels of fame that Destiny's Child was experiencing. And so I feel like all of us have to say to ourselves, being honest with ourselves, am I putting my career or my platform in front of my very real need to be connected spiritually, but more even as important, mentally and emotionally? Am I really connecting the dots between the way I feel, whether it's depression, anxiety, ADHD, suicidal thoughts, whether it could be manic depressiveness, anything, OCD, all these things that could possibly seep its way into our lives. Now, I'll be very honest with you as well here. And thank you for joining us on Instagram as well. Those guys are France and I think Aperture. Thank you for joining us. Um, I'll be honest here, and anybody that wants to chime in, feel free to chime in. I've also realized that some of these issues are a benefit. There are benefits to being for ADD, for example. I did take medication for ADD for a while. But at one point, I felt like, okay, this is not helping me. It's making me a little bit unable to focus on the things I need to focus on, which is a weird way of saying that. But yeah, ADD, in a sense, helps you when you're on a stage and you got to change the channel real fast. So I found that for my mental health, medication was not the right route to go. Doesn't mean that I didn't realize I still needed to take care of this. I just had to find a different way to take care of it. And so instead of using medication, I then turned to other methods like mind body feedback and paying attention and to my thoughts and how I regulated myself and systems around me so I would be more organized and writing everything down twice and putting it in the computer and in my journal. And all these things helped me to regulate that ADD, but it was at certain places. It was a benefit to me. It helped me connect the dots really fast and be able to be turning on a swivel on the stage. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't an issue. It doesn't mean that when I came home, it wasn't still an issue being able to listen to my wife or connect with my kids. Those issues didn't go away just because it was a benefit to my creative career. It was a disadvantage in the other parts of my life. And so, as you can see, once again, what might be a benefit to my creative life was a disadvantage to the other parts of my life. And that's why I really felt it was important to bring it up here in this creative checkup and kind of pose the question to you. Are you allowing your creative life to get in the way of your mental health decisions? Do you feel that, okay, therapy is not for me because my therapy is writing songs, or my therapy is painting, or my therapy is taking pictures, which is all well and good and probably a awesome way to deal and to cope and to reconnect with yourself. And again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counselor, I'm just saying these things parenthetically. I'm sure those are awesome ways to do things, but let's make sure we never try to simply paint a picture, to say it, use that term, of the only thing I need to do to regulate my mental health is to do more of my creative work. Because it might be where you're actually substituting apples for oranges. Me playing the piano does not cover my need to talk to a therapist. It does not fill that void. It does not fill that need. Me playing in the band, or me even talking to you, as much as I love doing this type of thing where I know there are people on the other side watching this and I'm helping you and you're getting benefits from the community aspect, that doesn't fix or equate to being in a small group talking about my feelings and learning how to express my feelings with a small group in a either a counseling session or a connect group at my church or whatever type of way that you do group counseling. Okay, my point is this: let's never allow our creative lives and our creative activities to attempt to take the place of honest, real mental health methods, strategies, and counseling. It's not the same. You got to be able to equate and work on your mental health and your emotional health separate from your creative life, even if they do sometimes intersect, to make sure that you never take one and try to fill the gap with the other. I hope that makes a lot of sense. If that made sense to you, if you're watching right now, go ahead and give me a yes, or just tell me, hey, thank you for that, or let me know if this has been a struggle for you in terms of your mental health versus your creative life, if you felt like you tried to fix one with the other one. D Shiv, David Shiverton on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me, brother. So good to see you. We're talking about mental health and making sure that we never try to undo our mental health issues by simply doing creative things. So great to see you. D Shiv has been on the podcast as well. I think episode 3, one of the very first episodes. D Shiv was there, an amazing musician. So hopefully you will check that out. All right, so hopefully that has blessed you. I try to make sure these creative checkups are within 30 minutes, so I'm not going to take much longer. I'm going to do a couple of announcements. If you have any comments about what I just shared about mental health, about making sure that you actually, oh, I would love to do this. I don't have anything ready to type, but I will put it in the comments later, at least on Facebook and on YouTube. Resources for mental health, resources for suicide prevention, all of these things. Let's see, wait, let me read some comments first. But I'm going to make sure that if you have any resources, anybody that can type that up, go ahead and type that up, because I'm now want to make sure I don't leave this without at least sharing some actual resources with you. But I don't have it with me right now, and it'd be tricky to find it and type it and keep talking. So Ja Will says you never experienced it, but yes, you've happened to me. I've considered crafting a form of therapy. Okay, I see that Facebook user. I'm not sure who that is. Let me put this one more time. I hate to make you guys do this, but if you want to have your comment with your name on it, on Restream, you got to give Restream permission if you're in the Facebook group. I'll do that a little later. But I know some of you probably don't see your name and you're like, well, wait, I want to give my name out. And Restream doesn't let you do that. So that's why you guys are seeing Facebook user and I can't call you by name. It's because the creative community has a different privacy setting on it. So yeah, go ahead and let me know what else you think about that. But if you think crafting's been a form of therapy, that's awesome. I don't want to take anything away from the fact that we can do things like this to be therapeutic. Absolutely. What I'm only saying is that it can't be the only source of our therapy. And if you have actual mental health issues, you got to go to the professionals. You got to go to a counselor. There are plenty of virtual therapy things now that you can use. You don't even have to necessarily go into somebody because of COVID. If you feel like you'd be more comfortable with the texting thing, there's so many resources. And again, I'm going to put those in the chat whenever I have a chance. But I did want to give you a couple of things that are coming up very soon, and then we'll go ahead and sign off for today's Creative Checkup. If you're watching this on the replay, by the way, just tap replay in the comments, and that way I know you watched it, but you watched it later, and that way I can respond to you as well. If you're watching this on the replay, if you're the replay gang, go ahead and just type in replay, and that way I'll know that you watched this later on, because you couldn't join us at 4 o'clock in the middle of the day. That's totally understandable. So, as I mentioned, in terms of mental health and resources that are coming up, I already have several episodes that deal with mental health in the God and Gig Show. So you might want to go ahead and check those out. Just go to godandgigs.com and type in mental health. That will give you all the articles and all the podcast things that we have talked about regarding mental health. But specifically, coming up soon, we will have an interview with Dr. April Endell, who is the podcast host of the show Do I Need Therapy? And we had a great conversation. I was also able to be on her show. So go ahead and find Do I Need Therapy? She's a African American woman, so you'll see her picture on there. There's a couple of other shows, I think, but hers has a question mark. Do I need therapy? Okay. Go check out her podcast and then look for her podcast to come on our show, the God and Gig Show, her interview to come on our show in the coming weeks, because we're going to talk a lot more about this. And again, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. The other announcement I have is for all the mothers. I want to say Happy Mother's Day to everybody, because this is the weekend of Mother's Day. And I wanted to tell you about a quick, cool little thing we're doing for Mother's Day. And that is for our 360 community that we have just started. Ja Will, I believe you are a member of that, and some of our other members are members of God and Gigs 360, which is our community hub to help each other to get out of our own way and to build the consistent habits that will make us completely confident creatives. Okay, that's God and Gigs 360. And if you want to be a member of that, this is a cool little Mother's Day thing that we're doing. If you remember, you're growing up, you know your mom always used to check over you, right? Always used to look at what you were doing, check over your homework, make sure your hair was right, make sure you were looking, right, and would fix your clothes and look over your home, look over everything. Like your mom looks over stuff, make sure that everything's right. So for the next 3 or 4 days, actually no, let's see, it's 3 days, up through Monday, if you join God and Gigs 360, you will also get a well, it won't be just an hour. I don't know how long it is, but it will be a free audit of your creative marketing plan, your strategy, your website, your social media, basically a top to bottom audit where I will give you my analysis, action plans, steps, resources, everything regarding your creative life. I'll go top to bottom. You just send me a video and links of everything you have, and I will send you a detailed plan, an audit. Just like mom would look over everything for you, I'm going to look over everything you have, and I'm going to send that back to you. And that's a free bonus for the next 3 days if you join up God and Gigs 360. So I just wanted to throw that in. There's kind of like a Mother's Day special. I want to help as many of you as possible, and some of you that have not joined God and Gigs 360. And I definitely need to give you that link, so give me just a second. Oh, I know. God and Gigs 3 trial. Wait, there we go. godandgigs.com/free trial. I almost forgot the link. Okay, so if you go to that link in the next 3 days up through Monday at midnight, I will do that Mother's Day audit for you. I will send in a detailed plan that will help you fix all the issues in your websites or anything that's like a little thing that's missing that maybe hasn't really been working for you. I can look at it. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to give you a detailed plan, and that's on top of getting 60 days of God and Gigs 360, this membership that we've created for you for high quality creatives who want to become completely confident. I always triple for my words, completely confident. So go ahead and check that out. That's an announcement I wanted to make sure I made during this Mother's Day weekend. So if you're watching this after Mother's Day weekend, sorry, but you can still join the 3 trial, but you won't get that free audit, okay? The audit only comes through Mother's Day, Monday after Mother's Day, okay? So thank you guys so much for joining me, whether it's D Shivs or Courtney, Miss Chris Creations. Once again, go check out. Let me show my shirt one more time. I hope you can still hear me. I'm gonna move the mic and make a whole bunch of noise with the mic. But thank you, Miss Chris Creations, for my incredible shirt. You got to follow the God of Geeks show. You hear me say this at the end of every. Wait, can you see it? I gotta go up. There we go. So you can see the whole thing. But that is from Miss Chris's Creations. So go follow her. I think she left her link somewhere on the chat stream, the chat thread. So go follow her. Go check out some of her stuff. She's an amazing creative. Thank you so much for the shirt. So definitely giving her a shout out. Thank you, Ja Will, for joining me. Anybody else that's joining right now, I'm about to sign off, and I see a couple more people jumping in. If you have a question about mental health or about the resources that we're going to be typing in the creative community especially, go ahead and share that. Just put a little post in there and just ask questions, and we can continue to keep the conversation going, okay? But this was our Creative Checkup. It's right at 4:32, so I'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you, Instagram, for watching. If you're watching on the replay, once again, just comment with replay so I know you were watching and I can say hello. Same thing here on Facebook and YouTube. If you guys were joining me, my name is Alan Paul. Once again, by the way, host and creator of God and Gigs. This is our Creative Checkup. We're going to do this not next Friday, by the way. Let me just mention that. We're not doing this next Friday because I will be out of town. So there'll be no Creative Checkup next week, but we will come back. And I think I'm going to stick with I said 3 o'clock, and now I'm looking at 4 o'clock. It's going to be in the afternoons, okay? I don't know. Still haven't decided on a specific time, but Friday afternoons will be our Creative Checkup time from now on, instead of Mondays like we used to do. All right. God bless you guys. Thank you for joining me. This was a great conversation. Thank you for being a part of it, especially something as important as this topic. I appreciate you being a part of it, okay? So until next time, like we said, do it. Continue to become the creative you were created to be. All right? God bless you guys.